Always.
All right. All right. So thank you everybody for showing up. I'm excited about today's conversation. It's one I've been wanting to have for years. Like when I started Legacy Empowerment, one of the things that I always noticed was, despite how hard people work when it comes to retirement, despite how much money you save, one of the fastest ways to change your stars when it comes to how you retire is getting ahead career-wise, right? Now I knew that, clients knew that, but it was all people always say, well, how do you do that? Right. And I would always say, well, you just got to work hard. Like, you know what I mean? Kiss butt, you know what I'm saying? If you can, and get ahead, but I didn't know what the actual strategy was until I was on LinkedIn one day, just on LinkedIn, being somebody on LinkedIn. And I ran across his brother, Alex, and he had did a conference for a company, and I watched his keynote. I watched his entire keynote, and I came away so impressed. I watched the keynote first, then I went back and looked him up, because I was so impressed by what he was doing in the federal space, how young he was. He looked just like me, you know what I mean, if you know what that means. And so I was proud of the brother. So I looked him up, looked his bio up, then I hopped in his DM and said, hey man, look, here's what I'm doing, and I would love to connect with you. And to his credit, he reached right back out and said, let's do it. And then come to find out, we're in a similar circle in DC, run with a lot of the same guys. And it was karma at his best. I mean, not karma, but what do you call it? Synchronicity at its best. And so, and what he does is he's a federal employee career coach. He hosts the show, the Alex Tremble Show, where he interviews high-level government officials. And he also has a curriculum to help people like yourselves get ahead in your federal career. So y'all in for a treat for people that showed up to this, because again, if you want to retire well, one of the things you must do, you must get your high three up as high as possible. So if everybody can mute their phone too, like that'd be in their computer. I'm not the best. I don't know. If you could just take responsibility and just mute your screen, that'd be great. Um, but yeah. So what I want to do is I'm going to jump in this with Alex. Alex, your young brother, ambitious man. What do you credit that to, man? Like, talk to me about that, man.
You know, first of all, thank you so much for having me on here today, William. I greatly appreciate it. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak to a crowd of groups such as yourself, because I can't tell you, when I'm coaching people, my one-on-one programs, the first thing I have them develop is a budget, because you need to get your finances right. Having your finances right, having a retirement plan, having all those different financial pieces in place helps you feel much more comfortable taking on risk, whether it be networking, finding another opportunity, building political influence, taking a leap for a job that you're not so sure about, but if it could change your world. So I appreciate, William for, bringing this group together, who's also focused on that financial component. And then I'll answer your question by saying that I'm fairly sure that, not fairly sure, I'm the reason why I've been able to get to where I've been able to get to is two things. One, God, I'm blessed. I've been blessed with a number of opportunities throughout my life that I don't know if I deserved. Or I tell William, my first federal job, real-time job, was overseeing the Executive Leadership Development Program at the U.S. Department of the Interior. I got that job when I was 23.
You were overseeing the executive program at 23 years old.
I apologize. I misspoke. To create and manage the Executive Leadership Development Program for the U.S. Department of Interior at 23.
A Black man doing that. That's good stuff, man. That's good
stuff. Blessed. But the reason I was able to do that, and I tell people this all the time, is the reason why I was able to walk into these conversations with all these executive politicals, executive careers, and whatever senior levels I had to work with to make this go, is because I was very, very confident that I didn't know everything.
Yeah.
So that's what the first hurdle we have to get over when we're talking about networking and building alliances and coordinating, collaborating, is understanding that we don't know everything, and it's okay to ask for help. And actually, you look really smart and really good when you ask for help.
So let me stop you right there, man, because again, I meet with thousands of clients, man. And one of the things that a lot of times we're talking one-on-one. Most of the time we're talking one-on-one with people. And most people, that's their thing. It's like, Mrs. Smith, like I wanna do more. I want to be more ambitious at work, but they're afraid like to stand out. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm hearing you say is, or afraid to take that risk, or afraid to ask, And so what I'm hearing you say is, it's okay to be not ignorant, but it's okay to ask a question and show that you don't know. You don't know anything, right? And that's a way to build connection.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, the reality is most people like to feel like they're smart, right? And so
Right.
when I ask you for advice, when
Right.
I ask you for your help, it means that I believe that you know something I don't know.
Right.
So you're allowing them to actually feel good about themselves when you do ask them for advice and for their opinions.
So I would challenge everybody on this call to find something you can ask a superior this week. That you might be a slight bit uncomfortable with, but just ask, just for a little bit of guidance. Just to show that vulnerability, because again, Alex, 23 years old, creating and running, executive oversight, right? He has the answers, And so with him saying, this is something he did to get ahead. I mean, I would challenge everybody on this call to this week, just think of something small. It could be so small. Ask a superior that just stick your neck out on the line and just, ask a little bit. Because again, when all my calls, whether it's one-on-one or group calls, I don't want nobody sitting on the call and just getting information and then moving on. We want to make sure you're doing actionable things, because you're giving us your time right now, right? And we're giving you our time. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure you get a win, no matter what it is. And this could be the small win. Just ask a question this week and see how it turns out. So that's good. Thanks for that, man.
Sir.
Yeah. The next question I have for you, man, is how did you get into career? Like, why that?
Why? So I'll tell you that when I started off my career, I saw two types of people. I saw the people who are moving into very senior level positions and being very successful. And then I saw the people who were either in a senior level position or successful, whatever they wanted to call that be. And they either went down in their career or they never were able to get up there. Like this, for some reason, they just weren't able to make that they weren't able to make that jump. And what I found is that there are some fairly simple things that successful people do that quote unquote people who haven't reached their goals don't know yet. And I started implementing those into my life. I became very successful doing it. And I love helping people. So it just made sense to teach what I had learned to so many other people. And to be completely honest, I've had so many mentors who are very successful teach me everything they knew about networking, everything they knew about political savvy and collaborating and so on and so forth. I was a little sad, right? I was a little taken aback that not as many people have the opportunity to have that wealth of information poured into them. And that's actually the reason why I created the Alex Tremble Show, is to take all these successful leaders and provide them with a space to share their advice and their career strategies with all of you in a place where anyone can do it at any time. You just turn on your podcast and listen.
Okay. And by the way, we'll put his show at the end in the chat towards the end of the show. But he has a podcast where he interviews government leaders, and they talk about things, right? All this could be used for you in your career. So again, going back to what you said is why you started as a federal employee coach. Is you said there was two types of people: those that knew basically and those that didn't know. And you wanted to give those people that didn't know the same information to people that knew. And so what are some of the things that stood out to you that are most common that you recognize that people just don't know?
Oh, the first thing off jump, and you guys all know this as soon as I say it, hard work doesn't take you to the top. I mean,
hard work doesn't take you to the top.
Hard work does not take you to the top. It is, how many of you know someone right now, if not yourself, who works extremely hard and still has not been given an opportunity to go to take on a new program or to a new project or to get that next GS level? You all know someone who is extremely hard worker who's not where they want to be.
I know tons of them.
Yeah. So
I got a whole client list of them.
Whole Rolodex.
And they complain to me. They're like, man, such and such, blah, blah, blah. I got to do this. And it's real emotions that they're giving me. You know what I'm saying? So what you're saying is they just have a wrong strategy. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, you know, I compare that to like the education system. This is not knock to anyone before I say it. You know, if you graduate from high school, people are happy for you, right? Yeah, sure, you graduate from high school, but no one's like, it doesn't change your life.
Right.
Everyone should graduate from high school or get their GED. You should do that certain level, right? You're not blowing anyone's mind by just graduating from high school. You have to do something else, something more. That's the baseline. That's what hard work. That's what hard work is. Like if you work hard, there's no way you're at this level if you're not working hard to some extent. So that's the baseline. Right. It's the stuff you do on top of hard work that really gets you to where you want to be. And I can tell you now, I've been promoted, I think 7 different times within the federal government, and I applied to one job via USA Jobs, and that job I wasn't applying. My name was going to be picked. So that's what I want you to do. I want all my clients to stack the deck in their favor so that they're applying, but their name is already selected, you know?
So give me an example of the hard work. Give me an example of what that looks like of hard work and what you're talking about. What does that look like?
If I can just use myself as an example, I would just say, actually, I won't use myself. I'll use another a client, past client of mine. So he was a senior leader within the Department of Defense, and over a very important program tied to a lot of soldiers and basically when the new administration came in, there were
like Obama, Bush
to Trump, transition from Obama to Trump. There was some decisions being made to say, look, we want to shut down this program. This program is no longer helpful. We want to go to this next level of technology. And he kept saying, hey, this is not going to work. It's not going to work. You're going to get people killed. And he had been making that case through the Obama administration, all the way up through the Trump administration. And he was almost about to give up until him and I met. And we had a conversation about political savvy, right? And networking. And initially he was completely, he did not want to do it because he felt, and as so many people feel, that being politically savvy, that networking lowers you, makes you slimy, makes you underhanded. You're no longer focused on the mission. Well, I told him, look, don't think of it like that. Think of it as you're literally saving lives. If you can use a different strategy, if you can just do something differently than what you've been doing for the last 4 years, that's going to save lives, would you do it? And so he said, okay, I'll try it. Well, it turns out that he served in the military with the advisor, the senior advisor for the decision maker, right? So all we did was we scheduled an opportunity for him to go to lunch with the senior advisor, catch up on things, and then explain to him why it was so important that this program did not get launched because it was not ready. That senior advisor went back and told the senior leader, no problems. The program was delayed. Everyone was happy. People saved lives, and he saved lives. And it's all because he was a hard worker, but he utilized the relationships that he had to make sure that he was successful promoting his program and his ideas and his agenda.
All right. Excellent. That's an excellent story, right? But some of the people on here, and I'm sure the majority of your clients aren't at that level, right? So the everyday worker, so to speak, right? Because what I'm hearing you say is you use political savvy to get what you want instead of griping about it for the most part, right? Use your resources, right? For lack of a better term. So for the everyday worker, right? You know, how have you seen people like that utilize political savvy?
Okay. It doesn't get lower than me, right? It doesn't get lower than the 23-year-old kid starting off trying to create an executive leadership development program. So when I first got asked to create this program, again, I know no one. I know I'm not in that level. The first thing I did was go on LinkedIn. Yeah. I looked for every possible senior leader, someone who either was an executive in the government, outside the government, someone who did research on that topic, different groups. And I just started sending messages to everyone. Just, hey, my name is Alex Tremble. I'm trying to create this. I'd love to get 5, 10, 15 minutes of your time. And from just that one exercise, I had a whole lot of people just come back and start having conversations with me. So I remember one conversation specifically. It was the one of the top executives at GE. I'm pretty sure everyone knows who GE is, the massive corporation. And he was mentoring me for months on how to create this program. And I asked him, I said, one day I just said, why are you talking to me right now? And he said, what? And I said, why are you talking to me? I said, I'm some 23-year-old kid and you're this super successful executive. Why are you spending your time talking to me? And what he said to me afterwards has stayed with me. I tried to share it as much as I can. He said, because you asked.
Wow.
Most people won't ask. And see, I'm a man of probability, right? I want to increase the probability. I'm not that smart, but I do like to follow smart people. So if you look at Warren Buffett, this investing, the maven, right? He knows what he's talking about. He says, what do you say? Be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy, right? So what does that mean if you translate that to relationship and networking? When others are afraid to network, that's when you should network because it's less competition, right? So if others are afraid of reaching out to successful people, what should you be doing?
Reach out
When
to,
others, when it's the
and
pandemic,
Alex, this is so real, man. I did this exact same thing in my business last week, man. I'm in a circle, some very successful guys. One of these guys owns a huge company in America, big company. I'm not gonna say the name, but we all recognize the company. I sent a text message to him detailing out exactly what I wanted. I was scared, man. I sent the text out. He didn't respond for like 3 or 4 days. He finally responded, said, I'll think about it, but let's talk next Friday at 9:30. This was last Friday that we had the conversation. When we got on the phone, he said, I thought about it. I'm going to do it. And he gave me all the homework I needed to do and everything. But I would have never got that if I didn't ask. And I would have never even gotten to his circle if I didn't even ask
yep,
years ago about mentorship, man. So I want to just kind of bring this down to people on the phone. Like, yeah, so like again, the purpose of this call is I'm dealing with people every day, and a lot of you all want to retire well. That's the reason why we started Fed Legacy. We want to make sure our people can retire well, on time, with confidence, and leaving the financial legacy intact, right? Now, when it comes to getting ahead, getting your high three up and moving up in the government, you can't just do it just sitting around. So that's out, right? You can't do it that way. So the stuff that Alex is talking about is just going that extra mile, right? And now this is the stuff that when you say, my coworker, they don't do nothing or whatever, this is the behind the scenes hard work, right? And so this is the stuff that a lot of times our people miss out on when it comes to just, I call it game, right? It's just game. He's giving us good game. Like, all right, if you want to get ahead, why don't you just look up the people that are high up in your department, in your agency, and get on LinkedIn and just ask them a simple question. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I saw the policy. Even if you don't care about the policy, you read about the policy. Again, this is the other side of hard work. You know what I mean? You like look up the policy that's being issued, look at the new cabinet heads that are coming in, look them up, say, hey, I noticed this, and this is my concern about this, or hey, what do you think about this? I've been here 20 years. I think we could do this differently. Would love to chat with you for 5 minutes about it. They might not respond, but if they do, how different could your career be? And you could write that same message every week. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing I noticed dealing with high achievers, they always appreciate people that show effort, right? And so you want to make sure that you show effort. So Tamiko, who is a high achiever, we're applying for agency fellowship and leadership at programs. Hold on, I want to read what you say, Tamiko, because you're definitely a high achiever in my book. When we're applying for agency fellowship and leadership programs, help that exposure. Well, actually, we'll answer questions at the end, Tamiko. I want to keep going, but I want to get to your question because I know how you roll, and I want to make sure we get your question answered. All right, so that's one piece, right? Just making sure you ask for what you want. Is there anything else? I know you have the 4 C's, man. Let's go over that actually, because that pretty much brings it all together, right?
oh yeah, definitely.
So let's talk about your 4C framework.
So I was telling William before, if there's one thing I typically am good at, it's finding simple ways of thinking about stuff. Because I'm not the smartest tool, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. So I got to find ways that are simple that I can actually remember. You gotta
find your advantage.
exactly. And so what I came up with was what I call the 4 C's: mindset change, internal clarity, external clarity, and behavior choice. Okay. Now I'll walk through these. Mindset change is the foundation. These are actually in order for a specific reason. Mindset change is understanding that, one, you're not a bad person if you network. You know, it's not slimy, it's not sleazy. You can ethically network, and you can do it without, you know, deferring your mission or hurting your reputation. Really, the mindset is the foundation, because if you don't believe that networking will even help you in your career, then it doesn't matter what else we talk about, because you'll never do it. Right?
Right.
The mindset is critical. The second is
That's so important, man. Mindset. Mindset just gives you the leverage when it comes to money management, all type relationships. Mindset is the thing that gives you the leverage. So I'm glad you brought that up, because even y'all that on the phone right now who are maybe even being defensive about the stuff he's saying, what he's mentioning, like you got to have the mindset shift so you can see the opportunity that exists and take action and be okay with it in your spirit.
and be
Hey,
okay
I'm
with
about
it.
to network to the top so I can get this so I can get my high three up selfishly for my family. And it's okay to believe that. Like, it's okay to say selfishly, I'm going to get myself ahead. I'm a maneuver. I'm doing this for me and mine, right? Because that's what your coworkers are doing. The ones that are getting ahead, they're thinking strategically for themselves, and it's okay for you to think the same way.
100%. The second is internal clarity. Now, internal clarity is all about you. What do you want? So what are your goals? You need to understand what your actual goals are, because if you don't understand which direction you're heading, now you're just going out, quote unquote, networking with everyone. Now, there is benefit of meeting random people, but you have very valuable time. You need to understand who is going to be the best, where's the best areas to spend your time. So internal clarity is not only what your goals are, what you want to achieve, and so on and so forth, but it's also, where do you feel most comfortable, right? Like, I am not, people think, oh, extroverts, they're the only ones who can network. I tell you now, I talk to rooms 300, 400, 500 people, 600 people sometimes, and I hate being in rooms with a lot of people. I hate going to events with a lot of people, but that's my job. But what do I do when I network? Because I understand who I am and what I like and where I feel most comfortable. And if you feel comfortable, you look comfortable. I like going to talks. I'll go to a small talk, 30, 40 people. I'll walk up to the person and say, hey, my name is Alex Tremble. I really enjoyed your talk. Can I get your card and schedule something with you? Thank you so much. And I'll leave. I don't want to have a conversation with them in front of people, because that's not where I feel comfortable.
Right.
But you can't do that until you understand how you feel comfortable and what your end goal is.
Gotcha. No, man, I'm the same way. Like, people see me making these videos and doing all this social media stuff. Every time I get on here on video, I'm nervous. Like, so I have my little ritual, you know what I mean? Where I like jump up and down and say affirmations and all that stuff. But I do it again, like you said, the mindset first. Like, I understand how important it is for not only myself, but for the people that are on this call and the other people that we serve. Like, it's important that we do this for people. Like, it's not about me. And then two, the internal, I do it the way that works for me. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man, this is good stuff, man. So, all right, you got the mental, and then you got the internal, and then what's next?
External clarity. So external clarity is now focused on the outside, right? The outside side is one, identifying who you want to be around, where those people are, what do they enjoy, what do they like, what are their challenges, understanding as much as you can about them, so that when you do meet them, you have something to talk about, you have something in connection with them. Again, this is a whole huge topic. Obviously, you can't cover it within a minute or two. But the external clarity gets you to focusing on the outside. Think of it as being in a plane. They always tell you to put your own air mask on first. That's internal clarity. Then help someone else. That's external clarity. So internal first, then external.
Okay. Go ahead.
Go on.
No. You finish. I got something I want to say afterwards. Go ahead.
And then the last is behavioral choice. Now, everyone loves the behavioral choice. The behavioral choice are the actual tactics that you can use to meet people. How you send emails, what words to use, what imagery to use, what phrases to use. Those are the fun stuff that everyone likes to talk about. But if you don't do the homework prior to, if you don't have a mindset change, if you don't understand your internal clarity, external clarity, what you're interested in, who you're trying to talk to, again, all these behavioral choice, all these strategies, these tactics mean nothing.
Man, so like, I love it, man. External choice just raised me up a little bit. And so, because what I thought about, this is oftentimes the thing that hangs people up the most, because you have cultural differences, right? So in the external choice, so you might have a boss that's of another race, another gender, and so you might not have a lot in common with that person, right? And so again, it goes back to the hard work of, even if you don't have something in common, studying the person and figuring out, all right, where is there some level of common ground? Or even if you don't have some common ground, just studying what they like and finding a way to talk about it. You know what I mean? And and that's something I had to learn just being a business owner. I mean, you deal with different types of people. You got to learn how to relate to people on all different levels, you know? And so I'm glad you brought that up. But can you speak to that? Like how in the government, because the government still has that political feel about it. Like how did you overcome some of the, maybe the cultural differences or even the age differences? I'm sure you ran into that tons of times, you know?
Well, I have too many stories about how when I walked into a room, everyone thought I was someone's assistant or something until or someone's intern until I started speaking.
Yeah.
I have too many stories about that. But to your point, we have so much more in common than we do different. And really, again, this is why these are some of the strategies I teach. I mean, there's literally no way that you can not have something in common with someone else. Say, William, you have a sister. And I say, oh, William, how is it having a sister? I have 3 sisters.
Yeah.
Or let's say William doesn't have a sister. Oh, shoot, you don't have a sister? I have had 3 sisters. What was it like not having a sister? Or let's say you have 3 sisters and a brother. Well, I've never had that, but I've always wanted to do that, or have a sibling. What was that like? Like whatever someone says, you have an opportunity to connect yourself with that person. It's just about being creative and being mindful and listening to the other person.
Yeah, and it goes back to the question, what you said earlier, which is just ask. Like even when you asked me that question,
Yep.
you get like, I don't have a sister, but it when you said it, I just resonated like, oh, this gives me an opportunity to talk to him about what it was like just having a brother. You know what I mean? And so and that just happened by default. But again, we're talking strategy. Like in order for you to get to the top, you have to have strategy, and this is a part of the hard work. It's not just how many applications you can process or how many programs you can develop. It's about you could do that, and just as important is how you do these things out of bounds, so to speak, which is how you connect with your superiors, how you could how you make sure that they see what you're doing, things like that. So this is good stuff, man.
Hey, my mentor, he one of my first big mentors, he got me off on the right foot. He is one of the most senior level executives in the federal government. But earlier on, he told me that he had served for 20 years. And of that 20 years, for 17 years, he's never applied for a job. Wow. It's always been relationships. People have always
the way they do it, man.
Met people and they just help someone else over and they move around. Like that's how they do it. And that's what my goal is now. My goal is to get through the next 20, 30 years, 40 years maybe, without ever submitting a real application, right? I want it just coming my way.
Right. So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about your programs, man, like how you help people directly.
Yeah, sure. I have a group mentoring program, which I really enjoy doing because I feel like it's dynamic. And the people who've been through my programs, I've always said it was really dynamic because we meet on a monthly basis. And every time we meet, there's an opportunity for individuals who will get new information and then test it. That's what's really important, is getting started, right? You're going to try something, it's going to work or it's not going to work, and you're going to retool. And every single month you get better and better and better. And so that's what I use my the mentoring program for, is consistently being able to help people fine tune their strategy and their plan and so on and so forth. Then I also have my actual course that I have online, a networking course, and it's a 7-week course, in-depth dive into how to build relationships and strategically network. And everything is built on and based on science. So my background is in IO psychology. So I have a master's in IO psychology, and then I really dive into the research in regards to how do people influence other people, and that's where all the stuff is coming from.
This is the stuff that we needed when we were in college and high school and stuff like that, man.
Right.
This is power. I hope you guys are writing stuff down, because this is powerful. And again, we only talking to the people that really want to increase their retirement, not just through the TSP. You can do it that way, but this is one of the fastest ways to do it. It creates the most leverage, because the more you get paid, the more can go into your TSP, the more your first pension will be, the more your Social Security will be, right? And it's just strategy. So Again, please be taking notes. Go ahead, Alex, you would say something?
No, I did see a comment pop up. So IO psychology is industrial and organizational psychology. So basically we're the people who, one, develop selection tests. So if you're going to do an assessment, we would do that. And also the people who specialize in organizational development, leadership development, and so on and so forth. So that's what IO psychology is. And, you know, I'm with you. I to be completely honest, because we're being real right here, I don't like most training. I really, really don't like most training.
I don't think most people do, to be honest.
Unless
unless you really enjoying the subject and you can see like the reward on the end of it. I don't think most people like to.
Well, if you think about it though, what does most training do? I need to compare it to the simple things. So I look at training like chess, right? The game chess, right? Yeah. Most training, let's say on leadership or communication or difficult conversations, they teach you a skill.
Yeah.
So that's like, and if you compare it to chess, that's teaching, okay, the pawn can move up 2 steps. Okay, yeah. The queen can move here. Like that's all great, right? But it doesn't teach how to win a game.
Right.
See, knowing how the pieces move doesn't teach you chess strategy. Knowing how to speak to someone doesn't tell you when to speak to them, where to speak to them, who do you need to speak to the next person. All that requires strategy, and most trainings don't teach that. And so for me, my whole big thing is I don't want to teach someone how to move the chess piece up and down. I want them to understand how and when to use that chess piece, when to let the pawn go down, when to let the queen go down, so that your king, makes like.
Man, I love this
understand these.
I love this, man, because I've seen clients of mine do this on their own. You know what I mean? And I've watched them just soar up the GS pay scale just through strategy. You know what I mean? And then we get in their office and they talk about like, I had this vision the whole time. And it's just like, and it's good because you meet them. They're making 80,000 a year. Then a couple years later, they're making 140. You know what I mean? 150. And it's just like all strategy. And it's just like, man, this is good, but it changes the stars for their family. What I want to do now, I want to pause for a second and open it up for some questions. Does anybody have any questions? Just unmute yourself and ask, please.
Hi, this is Katricia. You mentioned that you want to create an environment to where you can just move up the ladder without applying for that position through networking in the federal government. Isn't that like standard protocol to apply for that position? Or is it like something that a job was created for you based off of the skill sets and network ability that you provided?
No, thank you so much for that question. It's a great question. So first, I'm not sure if everyone can see, I should probably know this. When I'm saying not applying, I'm doing air quotes, right? Because the federal government, you have to actually apply for the position. But what you want to do is you want to be applying for a position that, one, is either you've spoken to those people and they've designed the job for you. And then please know that they do that. And they do that a lot. So you can talk to a hiring manager before they put something out, and they can actually look at your resume. They can talk things about the position with you. Whether it's right or wrong is not the case. We're talking about reality, right? So some people actually, hire managers actually create jobs for specific people to make sure that they qualify for that job. And when their name comes up, they select them. Two, you want to understand policy. Or I always tell people there's at least 3 people you need to have as best friends within your organization. One is the HR people, because you want a best friend who knows all the policies, so you can know how to navigate through the all those. How do I get a promotion? How do I get a QSI? How do I go on detail and not so my boss can't block me here? You want to know all those policies. Second, you want to know the budget people. You want to know the money. You want to know where the money is and how much money your organization got. I can tell you as I was a federal employee, I had so much money in training because I was able to say, hey, look, supervisor, hey, this division has $20,000 left over. They're about to let it lapse. They said I could use it. Like, you want to have a friend in the budget. And then I always tell people, you always want to have someone who's the IT, right? Because if something is always going to go wrong, and you want to have someone who's pick up the phone and help you, and it's going to make you and everyone else look good. So,
is this the stuff you teach in your training?
I'm sorry?
Is this the stuff you teach in your training?
Oh, yeah.
This is good game. Like, hold on, you just said the HR, you said the HR people, the budget one is a that was huge. That was huge. And then because what you do is you know the budget, so you go to the hiring person and you say, hey, look, I know where you can get money to hire me for my training. Is that what you do?
Oh yeah, but
And
for training
or my position.
and for my position, and just, hey, look, I know there's some dough coming down.
And
I'm not sure if you guys know what to do with it, but here's some recommendations, and you can recommend something that benefits you.
Hey man, this is good stuff, man. So
and as you talked about earlier, it's not bad. It's you helping you and the organization.
Man, that's good stuff, man. And then the IT person, that's just because you look like a superhero. Like I fixed it. All right, so that's a great question. Thanks, Patricia, for that question. Does anybody else have a question? Oh, ask a couple more. Charmaine says, "Is that legal?"
I have one.
Who's I?
Ida.
Hey, what's
Ida
up, Ida?
Campbell.
What's up, Ida?
Hi. My question is, I'm returning. just returned back into the federal service at AOC at a lower grade. When I was in federal government, I was GS-11. How do I compete to get back to that grade?
I think the first thing you need to do. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the first thing you should do is develop your story, right? I'm not sure if you have your story already, but everyone loves a good story. That's why we all watch movies and our soap operas and everything. We like a good story. And the research shows actually that if you give someone a reason for doing something, they will generally believe it. And there's a reason for it actually, because humans are generally cognitively lazy. What would our world be like if we questioned everything everyone did all the time? We wouldn't be able to function, right? And so we tend to believe people. So the first thing I would say is, one, develop a story for why you left the government, why you came back in at the lower grade, and why do you want to go to that next level. If you have a compelling story, that's going to already get you past the doors, because you can say something like, a couple years ago, I left the federal government because I wanted to grow these particular skills. And once I grew them, I knew that I could use these skills to help better serve the customers within this agency at this level. So my goal, my strategy was to come back in at a lower grade level, so I had the opportunity to reposition myself for something more senior. I'd like to know, what are your ideas? How do you believe I can get to this next level? And again, using that next one, which is asking for advice. I would identify, in addition to the story, again, being very intentional, what specifically, again, this refer back to internal clarity. So what specific type of position are you looking for? Understanding that, and then using external clarity to say, okay, now who is tied to that? Who and which groups do I need to be in so they can see my face and they can see me always contributing and showing that I'm very knowledgeable in this area and I'm trusted in this area and I can be counted on this area, so that when I'm in front of them, they say, oh, shoot, we need to hire someone. Oh, it's Ida, right? There's no question. Ida's the one. That's what you want.
And real quick, I would encourage us. That's another reason why we created the group that we had, the Facebook group that we had, because there's leadership in that group, right? And so asking vulnerable questions like that, Ida, in the group, it can be powerful too, right? Because you never know who's watching. And even the people that are watching, I encourage you to help people like Ida get ahead, because at the end of the day, all we got is each other. So man, I appreciate that.
If you listen to on the Alex Tremble show.
Thank you.
Oh, no worries. If you listen to the Alex Tremble show podcast, the one on Keith Benjamin, I interviewed him earlier on, I think in December. And what he talks about is how he was able to get his fair senior level government jobs is because he was consistently posting on LinkedIn.com, just articles and things he was doing and his thoughts and his commenting on things. And he said, though most people weren't clicking the like button and sharing it, they were watching it. And so when an opportunity came up, they were like, oh yeah, Keith, this is the guy. This is who I want. And again, he didn't know these people are watching, but people are watching.
All right. So is there any other question? We'll take two more.
I have one, Mr. Smith. It's Tamiko.
What's up, Tamiko?
Hello. Hi, Mr. Tremble.
How you doing, madam?
I have a question. I'm currently working on a training and development certification because my agency wanted me to look at ways to provide ways to provide alternative new hire orientation. And then COVID hit. And so I had to quickly learn how to use WebEx and MS Teams. and WebEx is usually my approved choice, so I use that. But in moving forward, because my agency is moving to another location in Virginia, do you think my boss will look favorably on me continuing with getting that certification to help me with my job duties? Because it would tie into that too.
I mean, I would love to have a continual conversation with you on this, but I don't particularly see any reason why not to, why you wouldn't. But I think the most important question though is how supportive has your supervisor been, and again, what story can you tell to make sure this is in the interest of the organization? It sounds like it is. I'd love to be able to talk to you further, and we can have additional conversation on this.
Y'all should.
Okay.
I think y'all will be a good connection.
Thank you. We'll do that.
Madam.
Any other question?
Yes, one more, please.
Yeah.
This is Sandra,
Hey, Sam.
and hi there. First time with the group. Question regarding the networking. What are your thoughts on organizations like Blacks in Government or women organizations that's within your specific agency?
Yeah.
Or like I'm in communications or that kind of group within the federal government. Now, when I came from private sector, and I was always networking. It just seemed to got stuck in federal government, so that's the truth. And so I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on that? Thank you.
Oh, no worries. Thank you for asking. My answer would be a frustrating answer for you, probably. It depends, right? The reality is like any of those groups can be great, and any of them can be horrible for you, right? And it becomes, what is your, using our terms again, our external clarity, what organizations, what groups are you joining? Why are you joining those groups? What do you mean to get out of joining that group? Are you joining that group just to literally be paying them once a month or annually? Or you just not doing anything? Or are you actually being an active member? Are you joining the committee? Are you joining certain committees so that you have so your name is always going across the thousands of members they have, so they can see your name? There are people who I've coached who intentionally, we worked on to intentionally join a committee on a programming committee just so they have the power to select speakers, right? So if you're on that committee who's going to be selecting speakers, what does that do for you? It gives you the opportunity to have influence, to be able to reach out to people who you've never spoken to before, who you want to have a relationship with, and say, hey, we're thinking about having you as a speaker. Can you and I speak for 15 minutes, 30 minutes? Of course, you ask them about the speaking job, but what's really important is getting them to like you as a person so you can contact them later without even having to worry about a speaking opportunity in the future. So it really depends on what your goal is and what you're doing within those organizations. Again, signing up to an organization and paying them an annual fee for you to do nothing, I think is a poor use of money. So hopefully you're making use of those organizations if you're paying them.
I want to add
Thank
to that
you.
too, Sandra. Though what he's saying is true. And FEW and Blacks in Government are great organizations, and I love FEW too. By the way, FEW to me is one of the best organizations, especially if you're in DC, Sandra. They have it's a pretty good network. Are you in DC, Sandra?
No, I'm in Atlanta.
Okay, so I don't know about the FEW in Atlanta, but I know FEW in DC.
Did you say few?
FEW, Federal Employee Women. You said women's organization. I'm assuming
Okay.
that's what you. I'm assuming that's what you meant.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we got some few people on the call, I'm sure. If you're a FEW or Blacks in Government, reach out to Sandra through the DM if you can, or put your email in the chat so that Sandra can have a contact. Would that help you, Sandra?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Appreciate it.
And let me just underscore, they're great organizations, right? FEW, AAFEA, another great one. African American Federal Executives Association, another fantastic organization. Big, wonderful organizations. The point I'm more so making is that even when you're in those great organizations, you have to be doing something to make use of the organization.
Absolutely. All right, we got about 10 minutes left. So we can take one more question. If anybody has one more question, we can take one more, and then I want Alex to give out his information.
Yeah, hey, Todd Burgess here. Can you hear me?
How you doing, Todd?
Hey, quick question. What are some of the strategies to make this work, the networking effective in the telework environment?
Dang, that's a good question.
So
that could have been the whole call right there, Todd. Great question.
It is. And again, I draw back to Warren Buffett, right? The reality is that most people are not networking right now. They're not reaching out to people
Hold on,
right
Alex,
now because they're,
I mean, not Alex, but yeah. Could you repeat the question, Alex?
oh yeah,
Because it was kind of
the question was, how do you make these strategies effective during a COVID environment, during a socially distanced situation? And I would say it's the same exact, what I would say is it's most of the same strategies, actually. To be completely honest, one is most people are not networking. Most people aren't reaching out right now because they're waiting for these things to slow down. They're waiting to get back in person. They're waiting for conferences again. So what did we talk about earlier? Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful, because people aren't networking right now. Now is the time to be reaching out to people and building those relationships. Two, again, just use, I mean, from a simplistic standpoint, use what William did, right? William has literally reached out to me. You can do the same exact thing to meet people. And if you are connected to people already on LinkedIn, a really great way to pay them some homage and build your reputation, as well as starts to build that relationship with them. Write a recommendation. If you've been seeing them do some great stuff, if they've been posting great articles, or about some of the work they've done, just write them an unsolicited recommendation. I promise you, it will very likely put a smile on their face, and they'll automatically start associating your name, your face with a good feeling, because you did something without anyone asking you to.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on that too, man. It's so true. Like with Alex, this conversation would not have happened, Todd, if it wasn't me reaching out to him in his LinkedIn DM. I saw him doing good things. I said, "Hey, brother, I would love," and it was a simple text. It was, "Hey, brother, I see you doing good things." I mentioned where I saw him at. I mentioned some of the things he mentioned in his speech, and I said I would love to hop on a 10-15 minute call with you. 10 to 15 minute call turned into a 10 to 15 minute call. Then we sharing with each other our goals, like our personal goals, in another call, because we just recognize that we're on the same level, thinking wise. You know what I mean? And now here we are, right? All because I reached out. I've never met him face to face. You know what I'm saying? And so, but you see us here, right? And now everybody else is here learning from him. And so, yeah. So in this environment, some of the techniques you can use is email to a superior, asking for assistance, or just going through LinkedIn, finding people that you would like to work for, asking for a 10-minute conversation. You know what I mean? And 9 people might say no, but 1 might say yes, and it changes the stars, man.
Yep.
May I ask a quick question?
Sure, Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa. I worked in the federal government, worked for this agency for 15 years. I was in a different agency, so I don't know a lot of people. And when I look for my promotion opportunities, it's still within the same organization. I'm the kind of person that keeps applying if I want more money. Never really network. I just apply. But my question is, I don't have a LinkedIn account, and I always assumed LinkedIn was for people who wanted to network in the private sector jobs. Is it beneficial for me to do that? And what am I looking for in a LinkedIn account to help me when I'm trying to stay in one organization? Am I trying to look for those people that work in my organization and connect with them through LinkedIn? Is that what you're proposing? Because
So
I'm pretty much a worker bee and I just look for the opportunity. I've never really relied on anyone I knew, even though I saw people getting promoted because of their connection versus their skill set.
So first, thank you for asking that question, because I'm sure so many people have asked the same question. So the first thing is, yes, you should definitely be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is for professional networking, not only for the private sector. And if you look at my, if you go to my LinkedIn page and look at who I'm connected to, most of the people who I'm connected to are federal government. It's not because they're necessarily even looking for a job at some point, but what they're doing is they're building a reputation for themselves. When someone Googles your name, which we are moving to the world where everyone's Googling everyone, you want positive things. You want very positive things to show up about you. I tell this really quickly. There are 3 types of people. When you Google their name, if they have bad things about them on the internet, that's a bad thing. They have good things about them on the internet, that's a good thing. If they have nothing on the internet, that's really bad. people start to
Wow.
question if you don't have anything on the internet. What are you hiding? Because this is the world we live in nowadays. And so instead of leaving it up to chance of what's out there about you or what people are saying about you, you have the ability to build your own reputation, to build your own story. And so again, these are things I'd love to talk with you about. I invite everyone to join to check out and join the mentoring program and or the course online. But these are all, I can leave you one strategy is if you go online and start networking with other people on LinkedIn, look at their profiles. What are they saying on their profiles? What can you mimic? You don't need to recreate the wheel all the time. If you see someone doing something well and they're being successful, there's probably a reason for it.
So am I to assume in this day and age that the people who are making the hiring decisions are not just checking your resume out? They're going online and seeing what else they can find out about you before they consider you.
So I can tell you that they're not supposed to in the federal government.
Yeah.
But we can talk about what they're not supposed to or what's reality.
All right. I hear you. I hear what you're not saying.
Because
Okay.
even Tamiko, you hear me mention her a lot, right? But one of the reasons why I mention her the most, I mean a lot, is because she's on LinkedIn, and I've never told her this, but she's on LinkedIn. She's active on LinkedIn. She's liking stuff on LinkedIn, and so she became memorable to me, right? And then we have a database of 4,000 something federal employees, just our company alone. And so when we sync that database, it will let me know who's on LinkedIn, and it's very few federal employees on LinkedIn. So it's very few of our clients that are on LinkedIn. But there's thousands and thousands of federal employees on LinkedIn. But the ones that are on LinkedIn stand out to me. You know what I mean? When we go and look. And so what you want to do is you want to stand out. And your profile doesn't even have to be that complex, really. And then once you get on there, and this is the whole topic, but this is the stuff that Alex covers in his course and his workshops and stuff like that. But like there's strategies. You could type in your agency and see all the employees in your agency that are on LinkedIn. All of them. You could just go right there, take your agency, look, and you can make it specific to Washington, D.C. You say all the people that work for HHS in D.C. and the list will come up. And all the people that you work with are right there, and it gives you an opportunity to connect with them in a different way. And all the stuff that Alex goes over in his course. But Alex, talk to us about your course, how people can join, how people can follow you if they don't want to join your course but stay in contact with you. Give us all your stuff, basically.
well, I'll say that the easiest way is just to go on alextremble.com. So Alex, ALEX, Tremble, TREMBLE.com. That's my hub, right? That's where I post my blog articles. That's where I give a lot of other training advice. And you can find everything I'm doing on there on alextremble.com. The mentoring course I mentioned earlier, which again, I'd love to have you with us, is I think so much fun, right? so not only are you getting mentoring every single month, right? And again, I stress that because it's critical to not only, mentoring and behavior change takes a long time. It's not going to happen in one setting. And that's actually why the course is 6-7 weeks. It takes time, and you want to keep retooling and fixing things and trying something. And if it works, if it didn't work. And so that's why these sessions are once a month until you're ready to move on. And you actually pay for them once each month, so you can stop at any time. But every single session is recorded, and you have access to it. So if you can't be there, you can watch it later. It happens every first Thursday of the month at 8:00, actually Eastern. And we do that specifically because we know people are working throughout the day. And so we can accommodate our people on the West Coast, people on the East Coast. Everyone's typically available at 8:00 p.m. the first Thursday. And then you have the ability to work at your own pace. We're going to give a lot of strategies and ideas and suggestions and recommendations. But you can implement those at your own pace. And what I'll tell you right now is also another really important thing, which most people don't know about, is I'm actually developing another online component to this mentoring program, this coaching program. So once that's done, you'll actually get that for absolutely free. So I'll just add into the program this new online component. But look, if you don't want to join the mentoring program, there's a phenomenal course I have on strategic networking, which is down in the comment section right now. But I would definitely strongly recommend that you either subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Alex Tremble, or my podcast, which is at thealextrembleshow.com, thealextrembleshow.com, where again, these are all free resources for you to learn how to develop the relationships and make the moves you need in order to attain the career advancement, attain your career advancement goal. So I can step back and hand this back over to William.
Yeah, man. I appreciate everything you've brought to the table. I mean, like I said, and I say it over and over again when we meet with clients, again, increasing your salary, getting your high three up as high as possible is it gives you the most leverage when it comes to your retirement. And so if you can follow things that Alex talked about on this call today and get ahead and change your trajectory for not only yourself, but your family, like you just got to do it. And you just got to learn, you just got to learn these techniques because your coworkers, the ones that are getting ahead, this is the stuff they're doing. And so why would you give them that competitive advantage now that you've been exposed to information like this? And so I appreciate you, Alex. We'll probably get you to talk again sometime soon, man.
Do you have a space for a quick question, a last one?
Last one, Judy. If it wasn't you,
okay, sorry. Very quick here. Where do you think, if any, that emotional intelligence, EI, that seems to be a big thing in the federal government, or shall I say, at least it's at GSA. Who knows, maybe GSA employees need it more than anybody else. I don't know. But emotional intelligence, it came out years ago. And when I first started seeing this emotional intelligence training of all sorts, and it seems to be becoming more rampant, or rather, shall I say, it is more rampant and more frequent. I really thought it was a waste of training. You know, I thought about so many other trainings that, the government could, continue to give their employees, but it was so much with this emotional intelligence, which, as I mentioned, has gotten even bigger within the government. And so the question is, where do you think, if any, that emotional intelligence plays in everything that was basically given today, all the strategies that were shared with us today? What percentage or what weight do you think emotional intelligence plays in this?
I think that if William will allow me to make this answer, I'll try to be quick as possible. I can't make William do anything. I can't make Sandra do anything. I can't make Lisa do anything. I can't make anyone do anything they don't want to do. The only person who I can control is me. Emotional intelligence is that understanding yourself, being in tune with yourself. How are you feeling? When your heart is starting to raise up, how are you going to respond to someone? And then looking at the other person, say, okay, wow, I see they're pretty upset right now. You can't influence anyone without first influencing yourself. So I would say from emotional intelligence standpoint, the emotional intelligence EI or IE is in the internal clarity section. Understanding first who you are, what drives you, the emotions, all those things within internally. And then again, the other side of emotional intelligence is the other people, the external people, which then falls into the external clarity. But again, I say that it's extremely important. You have to understand who you can control. You can control yourself. You can only influence others. But once you control yourself and you understand, how you're behaving, how you're responding to things, what words to use, what words not to use, now you can influence others. And that's what this is all about, is influencing other people around you. And I actually meant to mention this, but any of you who want to join the coaching program, I put in the comments section, there's a $50 discount code. It's $200 a month generally, but $50 off today and tomorrow using the discount code coaching. But again, I hope to see you and I hope to hear from you guys all soon and work with you moving forward.
And Judy, great question. And I'll send that code out to everybody who signed up for the call. Alex, man, thanks so much for your time, brother. Appreciate you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man. You're impacting lives, man. I love it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir.
All right,
have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.